Welcome to this first session of the 10th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with the gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pay our tributes to the Guru Shishya Parampara, with whose grace this knowledge has been preserved and passed on for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share the understanding with you. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Bharvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Buddhishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So the 10th Adhyaya is called Vibhuti Yoga. And in this Adhyaya, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is showing his Ishwaratva, his godliness, how he manifests in different forms in this world as Vibhutis. So Vibhutis are nothing but God is showing his own glory, his own special manifestations in some special areas. Though it is well known in our Vedic mythology or philosophy and our Vedic way of life that Bhagavan is not just in one place, but Bhagavan is sarvatra, is everywhere. But for an average person, it is difficult to understand or to see or think of the Lord everywhere. And that's why this Vibhuti is a way to reach to that ultimate understanding. When God says, Aham, I am this, I am this, I am this in this world, in every different aspects, there is no ego of the Lord, because Bhagavan ka jo aham, his own ego, is sarvavyapa, because he is omnipresent, he is everywhere. And that's why whenever he says, it appears very beautiful, it appears very soothing, and it does not smell of the ego. When humans, when we say that I have done this, I've been able to do this, I have so much, I've done so much, I know so much. So that always smells of ego. But Bhagavan ka ye jo hai, it's his own grace that is telling us to see his manifestation everywhere. Yoga essentially means one of the ways to connect to the divine, and this we are discussing this 6 adhyayas from the 7th to the 12th are Bhakti Pradhana, Bhakti Yoga, and Vibhuti is also one way to devote to the Lord, to see Lord in his different manifestations in this world. So essentially it helps us to see God or think about God starting from some places somewhere and then gradually leading to everywhere, because that is the ultimate goal. And this also helps to lessen and reduce and finally annihilate our pride about our knowledge, about our possessions, about a lot of things that we have, about our being good also, which is one of the biggest obstacles for our onward journey, a spiritual journey, because unless we take care of our ego, we cannot progress and reach to the divinity. So God, by showing his own glories and manifestations in his Vibhuti, he is showing his own greatness, and in the process is just making us feel more humble. Just like when we go to the ocean and see the vastness of the ocean, then we also feel, that I am such a small being, and this makes us humble in front of this vast ocean. So with this understanding, we start with the Vibhuti Yoga. In the Vibhuti Yoga, Ishvara tells us that all this energy, whatever we see, whatever we perceive, whatever is there, comes from the Lord. But because we need to start somewhere, in some special places, we see this Vibhuti. Initially, we see the Lord in Saguna Sakar, one form, one manifestation, in one idol. And then we see the Lord in different Vibhutis. And then finally we see Lord in the Vishwarupa, and finally Sarvatra, everywhere. So this is the Bhagavad Bhava Vistara, the vastness or expanse of the Ishvara Buddhi that we need to develop as part of our spiritual progress. And in parts, Vibhuti Darshan was already mentioned by the Lord in the 7th and the 9th Adhyaya, but 10th Adhyaya is devoted completely to Vibhuti Yoga. It's a detailed description. Though finally Lord says that it's not possible to describe his Vibhutis in length, it is in completeness, it is not just possible. And finally in the 11th Adhyaya, Lord shows his Vishwarupa Darshan, his omni manifestation as a vast universe everywhere. And so the 9th Adhyaya was dedicated to Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga, the Brahma Vidya, the Atma Gnan. But the final shloka of the 9th Adhyaya, Man Mana Bhava Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Yuktvaivam Atmanam Mad Parayana. It says Man Mana Bhava. You put your mind into me, Mad Bhakta, become my devotee, Madhyaji, do all your karmas for me, and Mam Namaskuru, bow down or surrender to me. It says you shall attend me, Mame Vaishyasi, you shall attend me only, and you will know me as your own Atma, Atmanam, and you will become Mat Parayana. You will become always dedicated to me, completely my loving devotee. So this is what was the last shloka of the 9th Adhyaya. This was the beach or the seeds for the 10th Adhyaya, which is the Vibhuti Yoga. God here tells Arjuna to become his devotee, become his loving devotee, and he says, if you become my devotee and submit and surrender everything to me, you will attain me. There is no doubt about it. And in the 10th Adhyaya, Lord shows him how we can devote ourselves to the divine, starting with seeing his own presence everywhere, his own, feel his presence everywhere, see his energies and his presence everywhere, his powers everywhere. So that is how we can see him everywhere. So the 10th Adhyaya, the Vibhuti Yoga, the first 7 shlokas are mainly devoted to his glories, his manifestations of the Vibhuti of the Lord and the benefits of knowing it. And from the 8th to the 11th shloka is about the Bhakti Yoga, loving devotion and its benefit. So that will be the part of today's session, the 10.1. From the 12th shloka, Arjuna makes a prayer to the Lord and he seeks to know his Vibhutis and Yoga Shakti in more details, Vistar. And from 19th shloka onwards, Lord starts describing his own Vibhutis till 42nd shloka of the 10th Adhyaya, where Lord summarizes saying that he can be seen everywhere. He is like a seed, and wherever, whatever you see, it's his own Vibhuti, and that is how he summarizes the 10th Adhyaya. So let's start with the first shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhuya Eva Mahabaho Shrudu Me Paramam Vachaha Yatteham Priyamanaya Vakshyami Hitakamyaya. So Lord here again pledges to tell Arjuna what is the best for him, what is the best knowledge. He says, and here this Adhyaya also starts with the Lord speaking. Bhagavan Shri Krishna starts speaking without any questions from the Arjuna. As you remember, the 3rd, the 5th Adhyaya started with Arjuna's question, and then Lord starts telling him. Now Arjuna has no questions. Lord has already told him many things, to all his doubts, and all his questions so far were all because of the doubts, whether to do karma, whether to go for sannyasa, whether to do yuddha, whether to go for jnana. These were all the dilemmas that Arjuna had. And now Arjuna does not have a dilemma, and Lord also wants to tell him many things, and that's why he continues saying in this Adhyaya, he says, Bhuya Eva Mahabaho, O great warrior Mahabaho, you have already won over a lot of enemies, but still you have to win over a lot of internal enemies that we all have. That's why he says, listen again, Bhuya Eva Shrudu Me Paramam Vachaha. Listen to my divine words. I'm going to tell you something which is very divine, very important for you. Yatte aham priyamanaya. As you become happy, I can see you becoming happy as I'm talking to you, I'm telling you, I'm giving you Uddesha. I can see that you are becoming more and more happy. Vakshyami hita kamyaya. What I'm going to tell you, Vakshyami is the future tense. What I'm going to tell you, what I'll tell you about the Vibhuti Yoga in this Adhyaya will definitely be in your hita, in your kalyana, in your upliftment, in your benefit. And that way it's going to definitely help you uplift yourself. So that's how the 10th Adhyaya starts. Name vidu suraganaha prabhavam namaharshayah aham adir hi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. So in this shloka, Lord talks about his own, knowledge. He says, nobody knows me completely. Name viduhu suraganaha. All the collective devas, they don't know me completely. He says, even Prabhavam na Maharshaya, the great rishis, Maharshis, they even don't know my birth, my Prabhava. Because Aham Adihi, Devanam cha Maharshinam Sarvasha. Because I am the origin, I am the cause, I am the beginning of all these devas and the great rishis. I am the Adi. And that's why, because I came before they all came, they don't know me completely. And this is also very clear in our daily life, that whoever comes first knows whatever has happened, and then that person only would know completely what is there, because that person has already created the world. So here Lord talks about that all the devas and maharshis were born after the Lord was there, and he shows clearly that he is the Karana and the Jagata is the Karya. Yo mamachamanadim cha vetti loka maheshwaram asammudha sambartyeshu sarva papai pramuchyate. So here Lord Krishna says, one who knows me truly is relieved from all the bondage. And what is that? Knowing the Lord truly. And he says here, Yo mam vetti ajam cha anadim. One who knows me truly in the sense that I am ajam. Ajam means unborn. I am never born. I am avyayam, anadim. Because I don't have a beginning. That's why I am eternal. Because Lord is unborn and does not have a beginning, He is eternal. He is always there. And He is the Loka Maheshwaram. He is the Lord of all the beings. And that is the Abheda Drashti. Because for the Lord, all the beings are the same. He does not have any Bheda Bhava, discrimination between different beings. And this is the vision of the Lord. Asammudha Samvartyeshu. And one who knows Lord in this way is an intelligent or a Viveki Purush among all humans. Because this is the reality of the Lord. He cannot be limited to one name, form, but He is unborn, He is eternal, He is without any beginning. He is the Lord Ishvara, He is the Lord of all the beings because He is the creator of this universe. He creates everything. And it says, what is the benefit of knowing this? Sarva papai pramuchyate. Phala of knowing Lord in its truly, paramarthik swarupa is that those persons are relieved of all the impurities, ashuddhis, and they develop antakaran shuddhi, which is the adhikaritva or the candidature or the suitability for atmajnana, the knowledge of the Supreme. Or the other meaning can be that he is relieved of all impurities and he attains the atmajnana, which is the highest knowledge. The next two shlokas have to be seen together because here the Vibhuti Darshan Yoga starts, and in these two shlokas Lord is showing all these energies, all these attributes, how they come from Him. Buddhir jnanam asamboha kshama satyam dama kshamaha sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha ahimsa samata tushtihi tapodanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pruthak vidaha. So here the last line of the fifth shloka is important. Matta eva pruthak vidaha, pruthak vida bhava bhutanam bhavanti. all these different attributes of the humans, in both the shlokas what have been described, he says Matta Eva. They come from me, they're all because of me. So let us start understanding one by one. The first he says Buddhi. Buddhi is the pure intellect, and the intellect is our intelligence. We need intelligence for a lot of things, and that is the biggest gift by the Lord. But for the worldly knowledge, you need a different kind of intelligence. Here we say that the people who have a higher IQ are more successful because they have higher intelligence. But on the spiritual path, our acharyas tell us that you don't need very high IQ. You need more of a pure intellect. You need more Shuddha Buddhi. That's Shukshma Buddhi, which can understand the meaning of these subtle things which cannot be sometimes seen. And this kind of a Buddhi, Lord says that I am this kind of a Buddhi to understand this kind of a subtle meanings. Jnanam, knowledge. All the knowledge that you see in this world are through vritti. These vrittis arise from our antakarana, and through which, by the indriya, these vrittis go out and we perceive the knowledge of the objects, the different objects of the world in terms of color, shapes, sizes, everything, all the knowledge. So that is the tadakara vritti. Similar as the akara of the objects, tadakara, there is a vritti, and through this we understand the names, forms, people, objects, everything. Similarly, the knowledge of the divine or knowledge of the supreme is also attained through vritti, and this vritti is called brahmakara vritti, through which we can understand the knowledge of the divine. So all these, Lord says, it is through me. Asammoha, absence of delusion. So that is the presence of viveka. Viveka is intellect, the discriminating intellect which can decide what is good, what is not good, what is dharma, what is not dharma, what is satya, what is not satya, what is atma, what is not atma. And this takes away all the misperceptions, misillusions in our mind which stem out of ignorance, ajnana. So this asammoha, this viveka, this understanding, this discriminating intellect, this absence of delusion, Bhagavan says that is all because of me, all through me. Kshama, forgiveness. So forgiveness is also a very important attribute, and it should come out from a right understanding of the situation, and by letting go with that understanding that this is not something which is so important for me, this is not something that is my goal in life. And with this understanding, when we give forgiveness to somebody, some people, then we must have a kind of a peace of mind rather than having that pressure, no, I have forgiven this person. So this kind of a forgiveness, Lord says, I am there as this forgiveness. Satyam, Satya, truth, honesty, this path, the spiritual path is the path of truth, honesty, but even in the worldly affairs, honesty and integrity is a very important virtue. And Bhagavan says here that I am that Satya, using the most appropriate words to describe the truth, neither exaggerating the truth, neither underplaying the facts. So this is what is Satya according to Bhashyakar. Dhamma. Dhamma is our control over our sense organs, our indriya. And indriya Sanyam has been repeatedly stressed by Bhagavan Shri Krishna right from the second adhyaya, the Sthita Prajna. He says, Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashaha. Means all these indriyas we have to, we have to keep them under control, and this requires some kind of efforts initially. This is not easy. It requires a lot of practice, it requires a lot of efforts, and it's a part of the sadhana. But over a period of time, with constant efforts and sadhana, with the balancing of the mind, with the emotions, and with the right understanding obtained from Shravana and the Guru and the Shastras, we can develop kind of an effortless control or balance, niyantrana, sanyama over our mind, which is called Shama. So this Shama is a higher virtue than Dhamma, because Dhamma also always has some efforts, whereas Shama is the balance of the mind which is effortless. Dhamma is the Indriya Sanyam, Mana, and Shama is the Mana Sanyam. Sukham dukkham bhavo bhavo bhayam cha bhayameva cha. So sukham is the happiness, peaceful mind, that is also through the Lord. Dukkha, disturbed mind, miserable mind, if something happens which we didn't expect, some illness, some losses, some disrepute, or any other reasons may be the cause for disturbed or miserable mind. And all this sukha dukkha, Bhagavan says it comes through me. Does not mean that we start blaming the Lord for giving us dukkha. But the understanding is, Acharya says, that sukha dukkha are all because of our karma and karma phala. And these rules of karma phala are made by the Lord. They are afara. Afara means they cannot be changed. Everybody, whenever does any karma, is going to receive the karma phala. And depending on the, when to receive that karma phala, in this life or in the next life, all this is decided by the Lord. So, based on this, we can say that it is the Lord who gives this. But actually, He does not do this. We are responsible for all our sukha dukkha. Bhava means creation of everything. And Lord is the creator of this entire universe. Abhava is destruction of everything. So this also is through the Lord. Bhayam is all the fears. And all the fears themselves are illusionary, because fear is not the reality. It is a thought in the mind that something is going to happen, or uncertainties, and all these causes a lot of fears in our mind. Fears maybe because of the disease, fears of the death is also a very common problem. Fear of failures is a common problem. Fear of losses, fear of disrespect being achieved, or infemininity being achieved. Abhayam cha eva, even the fearlessness. Bhagavan says that it is through me. And if somebody takes care of his fears, his power is the Lord's power. And the ultimate fearlessness can only be achieved by the understanding of the Atma Jnana that gives the Abhayapada. That means the total fearlessness is achieved. And Bhagavan says that all these Matta Eva Pruthagvida Bhava, all these different attributes, Matta Eva, they all come from me. So let us look at the Buddhi part in more detail. The first attribute that Lord shows, the Buddhi. Now Buddhi is the most important gift of the Lord to all of us humans, and which, if used correctly, we can attain something that we cannot even think of. And there are different factors which affect our intellect, our Buddhi, and our Guruji has shown us that these are the 10 factors which are written in our Shastras which affect our Buddhi. First is called Agama. Agama means reading inspiring books, positive inspirational literature, reading scriptures. They create a good sanskaras in our mind. Second is Apaha. Apaha are the genes that we inherit from our parents and our family, or the lineage, generations. So this affects our intellect. Praja. Praja is the company that we have, the Sangha, and we all have been Jaisa Sangha, Aisa Ranga. So whatever kinds of people that we come into contact with, so this same effect also comes on us. If there are people who are, they are more pleasant people, then we become also more pleasant. If there are people whom we come in contact are Satpurush, then we also start learning good things from them. Similarly, Desha, the place or the country of stay, that also has its own sanskaras, that also creates a difference on our sanskaras and buddhi. And Pala, the family culture, the upbringing, we all know that, even upbringing is a very important, because good habits all form quite commonly in since our childhood. But there is not just one factor, because even if two brothers of the same age, almost similar age, in the same environment, upbringing, in the same family values have grown up, but they can be diversely different. Their thinking, their attitudes, their understanding, their intelligence can be completely different. And this is because a lot of factors govern our intelligence. The other factor is Janma, birth, family, in the caste. So depending on that, the sanskaras will be there. Say for example, a child born in a Brahmin family where there is a lot of rituals happening right from his childhood, he sees that he develops those kind of sanskaras. Karma, good deeds, Because Satkarma, when we do good deeds, that helps us to give us more peace of mind, that helps us to make our buddhi pure, and with this Satbuddhi we do better karma, Satkarma, and this cycle goes on. Dhyana, thoughts or our decisions, because the kind of thinking that happens in our mind also affects our decisions, our intelligence, and that's why we have to be aware of this. Mantrana, advice, help from the people we take, what kind of people we take help from also determines our decisions. And finally, sanskaras of our previous births that we carry with us as a punja, which we carry forward. This also works, though it works mysteriously because we don't understand how it works. But this is what our Shastras tell us, that these sanskaras play a very important role in whatever we achieve, whatever we get in our life. Ahimsa samata tushtihi stapodana yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pruthak vidaha. Ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Non-violence in our Shastras it is by the body, that is the sharirik, by the mind, manasik, and by the speech, vachika. So all these ways we should not do any harm to anyone. But it is said that unknowingly we do a lot of harm every day, and which is sometimes inevitable. But knowingly at least we should not do any harm. Samata, that capacity to remain equipoised in all circumstances, in all the different aspects, circumstances of life, the dvandvas of the different dualities of this world, the vishamtas, the differences in this world, different kinds of people, their own different sorts of kinds of behavior. And if we don't remain samta and we develop vikshepa of the mind, this is generally because of our attachments to this world, and we are not able to accept the reality. Most of the times this causes the disturbances of the mind, because the reality is something else, but we are not able to accept it. We want that, no, how can this happen? I cannot accept this. If we remain like this, becoming a svikar of the reality, then we lead to vikshepa. Tushti. Bhagavan says satisfaction or tushti, contentment. You see that I am there in all this tushti, in all these gains. Whenever we have any gain or a profit, generally the human tendency is to become more greedy, to try to achieve more and more. But if we remain contented, satisfaction, because that gives us a lot of peace of mind, then this alama buddhi, this satisfaction, this contentment, Lord says it is through me, it is because of me. And all these pruthak vida, bhava, bhutanam, bhavanti, he says all these different human attributes that he has enumerated so far, matta eva, they are all because of me, they are due to me, they are from me. Ahimsa, samata, tushtihi, tapodanam, yasho yashaha. Tapa is the control over our own self by our own desire. So it is basically voluntarily enduring some pain. A lot of people do fasting. A lot of people do a lot of different types of tapa in different religions. Danam essentially is donation, distributing our wealth in a balanced way to give to others, to identify who are the needy ones, who are the really good patra for this dana. So all this comes under danam. Bhagavan says, I am here. Don't think that you are giving this donation, but he says, I am there. I am as a donation or as a dana rupa. Yasha. Yasha is the fame or becoming famous by appropriate actions, generally on the ethical marga or the ethical path, dharma karma. And this could be because of the destiny, or we can say it is because of the karma phala. Similarly, ayasha. Ayasha is disrepute. Some kind of disrepute achieved by our inappropriate or adharma karma. This is also part of our karma phala, and that's why we can say that it could be destiny, but all is because of the karma phala. And all these pruthak vida, bhava, bhutanam, bhavanti, matta eva is all because of me. All these attributes are because of me. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jata yesham loka ima prajaha. So here Lord Krishna tells about the creation of the world. He says, I am the beginning of all and I have no beginning. He says, Purve, before the origin of the universe, Sapta Maharshaya, 7 great rishis, Tatha Chatvara Manavaha, and the 4 Manu. And these 4 Manus could be Rishi Kumaras, Sanat, Sanadana, and etc. Mad Bhava, all having faith in me, all were connected, lovingly devoted to me. Manasa Jata, they are all born out from my mind. It is said that Bhagwan ki sankalp se, all these Manas Srushti, all these Sapta Rushi, the 7 great Rishis, and Chatvara Manu, that means the 4 Manu were born. And Lord Himself says that Yesham Loka Imah Prajaha, all these beings, all the human race, entire race, human race, then were born from these 7 Rishis and 4 Manu. So that's how all Lord describes the beginning of this creation of the universe. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo vetti tattvataha sovikampena yogena yuchyate natra sanshayah. And here Lord describes the benefits of knowing the God's vibhuti and the yoga. He says, Etam vibhutim yogam cha. As described earlier, all these vibhutis that He described initially, and the ways to understand them, the yoga, how God has created this universe and how He manifests in this universe as His vibhuti. So this, if somebody understands tattvataha means truly understands Lord in His nirguna nirakar swarupa, asanga swarupa, sa avikampena yogena yuchyate. So avikampena yogena is the steadfast yoga, the yoga of sthita prajna, as Lord has already described in the 2nd adhyaya, the realization that sarvatra there is Paramatma Drashti, and this is the goal of every devotee. Natra Sanshaya, there is no doubt about it. He says that they will develop this yoga of realization of Sthita Prajna yoga. So Ishvara in our Vedic understanding is described or defined as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana, and that's what Lord is describing here when He says that I was the beginning, Saptarushi, 4 Manu, and then the entire race and all this. But it's important to understand what is this Nimitta Karana and what is the Upadana Karana. Nimitta Karana essentially means the instrumental cause. So, say for example, from the sand or from the clay, when a potter, Kumbhar, makes a pot, the Kumbhar or the potter is the instrumental cause for creating the pot. Whereas Upadana Karana is the material cause of the creation. So from the clay, when the potter makes the pot, the clay is the material cause because the pot is made up of clay. That's why it is the material cause of pot or the ghada or the mati. God similarly has created the universe, and most philosophies in the world would accept that He is the instrumental cause of this creation. He is the creator, obviously. So all of us understand that. But it is only the Vedic philosophy which says that God is not just the instrumental cause of the creation, but is also the material cause of the creation, as God manifests. Not just He has created the creation, but He manifests Himself as the creation. So He is part of the creation, He is part of the manifestation. So that is the material cause. And both these forms of God, the instrumental cause and the material cause, are one. They are abhinna. Abhinna nimitta upadana karana. A simple example given in the Upanishads is about a spider who creates the web. So he is the instrumental cause of the web, and he creates the web from his own saliva. So he is also, the spider is the material cause of the web. And when the job is done, when some insects come and they get caught in this web, then the spider will swallow the web and take it inside him. So this is similar to how God creates the creation. God is part of the creation, and then at the end, when the job of God is done, He will again dissolve the creation into Himself. So that is how this is explained in the Upanishads. So Ishvara creates the Jagata, and then Prabhava, Pralaya, and He is Himself the Pralaya Sthana, dissolves the entire creation, is dissolved into the Ishvara, then only Ishvara remains, and then there is another creation again, Jagata is again created, and this is how the cycle goes on. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So how the wise devotes to the Lord, Lord Krishna describes here, says Aham sarvasya prabhava, I am the origin of all. So he describes very clearly that he is the Karana. And Bhatta sarvam pravartate, all pravrutta. Pravartate means they all act, all are in action because of me. He says, I am the Prerak, I am the initiator, I am the inspirer, I am the Antaryami of everyone. All the actions are through me. Iti matva, by knowing this, if we understand this, he says, Buddha bhava samanvitaha, the intelligent people, the viveki, jnani people who are full of love and faith for the Lord, bhajante mam, they devote to me. That is what he says. So here Lord Krishna is trying to explain to us the Karya Karana Sambandha, that Lord Ishvara is the Karana, is the through which entire universe comes and is in the Karya. And that's why if we change our vision a little bit, our drashti parivartan, then we can see how Lord is everywhere. So here one of the ways is to develop what is called as a Karana drashti. So whenever we see any effect or the Karya, say we see any object, if we think who is the creator of these human being or these beings or these animals or the trees, the nature, all this, then we will reach finally to the Karana. And then we will reach that one Karana, the source of everything from which everything comes. So this is called the Karana drashti. Whenever we see the Karya, we think about the Karana, and that's how we can see the one amongst all the many differences. The second drashti is the Preraka drashti. Preraka drashti is how these energies come. Whenever we see any energy, Lord has himself said that Sukha, Dukkha, Yasha, Apayasha, all these comes through him. All these energies come from within and from the Lord. And he is the inspiration for all. So this is the Preraka drashti. And this leads to devotion for the Lord, attraction for the Lord, and reduced attachments in this world. So if we can develop this vision, nothing like it, finally we have to reach this goal, Sarvatra, Ishvara Buddhi, Vasudevam Sarvamiti. That's what Lord Krishna himself has said, how we need to develop this kind of a vision. So this creates a very deep change in our own outlook, our own vision. And this is what is spiritual journey all about. We have to change our perception, we have to change our vision. And that's what we have to do. We are not dependent on anyone else. Of course, we need help of Shastras, Guru, Abhyasa, our own inclination. But finally, we have to change our vision, and this will definitely change our outlook. So that is what spiritual journey is all about. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So here Lord Krishna describes the life of a devotee, what he does for the entire day. Matchitta, his mind is always in me, he says. And chitta means not just the mind, but even mind and buddhi, the intellect. So both mana and buddhi of the devotee is always in the Lord, is always thinking, remembering, smarana, harinama, always going on with his buddhi. Always he makes decisions which are related to the Lord. Madgata pranaha, one whose life is completely devoted to me. Prana we know the life source, life force itself is prana. And this, his life, the priorities of the life of this devotee is completely devoted to the Lord. Bodhayantah parasparam means when the devotees, they meet with each other, they will bodhayanta, they will inspire each other. They will talk about the Lord, they will talk about their sadhana, they will talk about Bhagwan ki Leela Katha, and that's how they will inspire each other to do more devotion. Nityam kathayantah chamam, and they will always talk about me. They will not talk about the Vishaya and the Vasana, but they will talk about Ishvara. They will talk about his Leela Katha, his Smarana, his Bhajana. So that is how devotees, when they meet, they will behave. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha, and they are always contented. Tushyanti, they are always contented. They don't always are more greedy, they are more and more, but they are contented. And ramanti, they are always Ramana, jo unka pravrutti hai. All their connection is with me, to the divine, always. And that is how this is a life of a true devotee. That is what Lord Krishna says. Matchitta, one who keeps mind in me, mind and buddhi both. So that essentially means remembering the Lord all the time, having Harinam Smarana in our own mind going on constantly. Whenever we see all the forms, this Smarana could be of different Swarupa or the forms of the Lord. It could be of different Guna, attributes of the Lord. It could be of different Leelas, Kathas or pastimes of the Lord. And it could be just having a dhyana, constantly invoking the Lord. And this could be Saguna in a form, on a shape or a Lord, or it could be Nirguna Bhakti. It could be without any form, just invoking the Almighty. And not just by emotions, not just by mind, but by intellect too. So that is what is the meaning of Mat Chittaha. It also means that the God's desire, Ichha, God's decision, Sankalpa, or God's order, His Agnya, becomes mine. So I don't have kind of a very strong desire that nahi ye meri ichha purna honi chahiye. Whatever is my desire, whatever is the outcome, then I always see that it is a God's desire and that is always acceptable to me. So that is what is Mat Chitta. And all decisions that are taken by me are by keeping the God and His view into the mind. So they are according to the Dharma, they are more ethical, they are more with integrity. God becomes the first priority, not the world. So most of the times that is a spare time is devoted towards the Lord, towards His bhajana, kirtana, reading, chintana, manana, japa, nama, dhyana, anything. So that is what is Mat Chittaha, and we should use our mind and intellect both with our utmost dedication, utmost cure, because they should be like the worthy of being humans, because God has given this wonderful gift to us, our mind, which is such a beautiful, full of emotions, and our intellect, through which these are the two finite things through which we can actually attain the infinite, the divine Lord. So with this, that is what Lord Krishna tells us. Next shloka. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mapupayanti te. So what are the benefits of doing this bhakti, everlasting devotion, nitya, satata yukta? And humans are always, they want to know what will be the benefit of whatever I do. And that's why Lord Himself says what is a beautiful benefit of doing His loving devotion. He says, Tesham satata yuktanam, those devotees who are always ever connected to me. He's already said previously how mat chittaha, mat karta pranaha, all these devotees who are constantly ever connected to me. Bhajatam priti purvakam, they devote to me with love, affection. What I do for them, what is the benefit I give them? He says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them this pure buddhi, that intellect. And when asked, what can I do with this intellect, with this pure intellect? And Bhagavan says, Yena mam upayanti te, by this pure intellect, they can actually attain me. So that is such a beautiful thing. Lord says that He helps them to attain His own self. And this is what Lord Krishna Himself says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. How can we develop such a devotion in our life? Is it really possible? Yes, it is possible. When my priorities in life change, when the world does not remain the first priority for me, whatever, yes, my duties in the world are that I will do with the best of my potentials, but whatever is the spare time I can devote to the understanding of these scriptures, to the Lord. And when I have a strong desire to know the truth, that jignasa, which is very, very important on this path, and when I spend time and understand the futility of the worldly possessions by viveka, vichara, thinking what I want and what am I doing, is it going to really give me what I want? And then when we develop vairagya, then all these mamata attachments, they become gradually lessened from these worldly objects and the near and dear ones. Vairagya, when it becomes strong, so this is possible. And when we decide, understand completely that this spiritual journey is not a weekend affair. It cannot be like a vacation. It cannot be like an once in a while. It has to become a part of my life. And once it becomes a part of my life, once it becomes a goal of my life, the number one goal of my life, and it becomes a number one priority of my life, then one can see the change when it starts, and we can really see the perceptible change, how life changes, and this kind of devotion, what it does to us. And God here himself says that Dadami Buddhi Yogam, I give them the pure intellect, this kind of devotees. And this pure intellect is nothing but the correct understanding of this world view, which is very distorted. We normally see the world in a very distorted way, but God says, I can give you the view of what He can see, His own vision, His real understanding, His knowledge, the Brahma Jnana, the Atma Jnana. And what knowledge is that? That knowledge is nothing but my own self, knowledge of my own self, my real self, without all these layers that are already imposed on my real self. So this is what Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana, which is the best gift of God to a devotee. When the devotion becomes so strong, then Jnana always lightens up. And Yena Mam Upayantite, with this knowledge, the devotee becomes one with the Lord. That is the ultimate Charam Shikhar, or the ultimate climax of devotion. And most of the devotees, if you see Mirabai, her bhajanas, or Narsi Mehta, or any of the great devotees, those who have been there so far, in their words we can feel, we can see that at the height of their devotion they could become one with the Lord. They did not see any differences, and this devotees, then they never have viraha from the God. They never feel separated from the Lord. They always feel one with the Lord. So this is what Lord himself does for the loving devotees. Tesham evanukampatham aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayamyatma bhavastho jnanadipena bhaswata. So someone may ask the Lord, why do you do so much for your devotees? Why do you want to give them such that buddhi yoga where they can attain you? And Bhagavan gives an answer. Tesham eva anukampartham. Anukampa. It's only because for them, Tesham, for them, those devotees of mine who are lovingly devoting to me, I have a special eva, only due to my compassion, anukampa. He says, my compassion, artham, only due to my anukampa, so that my devotees may get uplifted, they can develop the right understanding, they can know the reality. He says, aham ajnanajam tama nashayam. I destroy the darkness of ignorance. I destroy all their delusions. I destroy their moha, sansara, everything. And atma bhavasto, I make them understand that their own being is their own real inner self, the conscious, the Atma bhavasto, and this is by Jnana Deepena Bhaswata, by kindling the light of knowledge in their own Antah-karana, which removes the darkness of ignorance. And this is how one can achieve this understanding. And this Lord himself says that this is my grace, this is my divine grace, and this grace is through my anukampa, my compassion, the love that God feels for the devotees, and that's why He bestows the special grace out of this love. And in the 12th shloka now, Arjuna starts with his prayer. Arjuna uvacha param brahma param dhama pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam vibhum. So it's a beautiful prayer by Arjuna. It's a stuti to the Lord. This is the first prayer. So far Arjuna has only asked questions, his confusions, that Bhagavan, my man is very chanchala, how can I know this, what we are talking about? So these are all the types of questions that Arjuna has put forth. Now he is trying to understand the Ishwaratva. Bhagavan has already showed him the vibhutis, he has already showed him his manifestations in different, and with this Arjuna is trying to understand what Lord himself is, what is his real nature. And so he says, Paramam, Bhavan Param Brahma. He says, you are the Supreme Lord. You are the Param Brahma. He's talking to Lord Krishna, who is standing in front of him in a form, but he says, you are the Supreme Lord, you are Param Brahma. He says, you are Bhavan Param Dhama, you are the final destination, the only final destination. Bhavan Pavitram Paramam, you are the most auspicious of all. He says, Purusham Shashwatam, you are the eternal being. And here now he is standing in front of Krishna and telling him that you are the eternal being, you are divine, you are Divyam, transcendental, you are Adidevam, you are the cause of all the Devas, and you are Ajam, you are unborn, you are eternal, you are indestructible, you are changeless. That is what Arjuna is telling Krishna, who is standing in front of him. He says, you are unborn, you are eternal, you are indestructible, you are changeless. Arjuna has understood the real Tattvic Swarupa of the Lord. And he says, you are Vibhum, you are vast, you are omnipresent. You manifest in many, many different forms, in different vibhutis, in different... And this is how he starts his stuti. It's a very beautiful prayer. And then Arjuna requests Lord to tell him about more details about the the Vibhuti Yoga. And that is what we will see in the next session. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnah Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.